Welcome everyone, Simon here from the Whales of Wall Street. A fired up video here today of Stellar XLM before we go into the chart and what we're doing with our price purchasing points. Let's take a look at some top line info here on Stellar. Now we know since we've been covering Stellar a while back and also been holders of XLM now coming up to around about 3 years. So we've seen some good gains in that period of time, and we're now at a period where a lot of people are calling this like boring and this, that and the other, and I'm just like, wow, well, if you know what Stellar is about, you'll realize that these current price points are extremely cheap compared to where I'm sure XLM Stellar will be in the future. Now, what I wanted to bring to everyone's attention is around CBDCs and also something really interesting from Ocoin. I think that's how you say that, the exchange. We'll go into that in a second. But I want to just redefine this particular point of interest. All 87 countries are now exploring the development of digital versions of cash. 14 are in pilot stage. Okay. That is absolutely incredible. So we're looking basically around about, I would say, just under 20% of these countries are in the pilot stage, according to Atlantic Council's tracker. Now, I think that's relatively accurate. We cover a lot of the CBDC projects in good detail, to be fair, over many videos over the last year. It's a very big topic for us. I love the research, we try and put into these, and, what's to come. We talk about like cashless society for years now, just our general kind of like chat groups that I have, people call them like conspiracy theories and stuff when we were talking about them like 4 or 5 years ago. And here we are today where majority of the population in the world have almost been forced over the last couple of years, particularly conveniently, to utilize a more digital way of purchasing things. And even senior people who said, "Oh, we'll never stop using cash," or "I'll never have a debit card," have now all of a sudden almost been forced to have to. Now, I always believed fully that these smartphones are very much stepping stones. They're getting us used to application, used to automation, digitalization. And if you look at the AI projects that we cover with blockchain technology and this, that, and the other, and all the things like patented right now, Visa biometrics, you've got Microsoft going through sensors, and we've also got the topics around like Elon Musk's boring company who are developing chips. This is where it's going. Okay, at the end of the day, we're going to be in a system where payments will just be done walking through the door, or just tapping something with your hand, or swiping over. There will be no cards, there will be no phone. It will just be you as essentially I would call like a digital sensor, a digital data object moving around constantly. And this, bringing this back to Stellar and CBDCs, these are powering. Stellar is powering the transactional perspective. We talk about Stellar along the likes of Ripple and Zinfin's XDC, for example, but Stellar has always been a big powerhouse. One of the key reasons being, you also have Jed, who was one of the key founders of Ripple, who then left under conflicting circumstances, I guess you could say, and who then founded Stellar, who have now gone to be exploring the ability for sustainability, for faster transactions, cheaper transactions, cross borders, and powering digital currency. And in particular, one that is talked about quite a lot is USDC. Now, this is talking very much more in detail about the countries involved, but faster payments, faster speed, lower cost, transparent cross-border payments. Removing all this fraudulent activity, money laundering, almost the removal of things like currency exchange, costs. You think how fast and how much quicker we can build our economies, how much we can build buildings, how much we can pay people quicker, faster, more efficiently. The world will absolutely go bonkers over the next 50 years in terms of development. There's no doubt about it. You think of all the things that are perhaps restricted in today's world, in the days that we've had for the last 100 odd years, or since finance begun properly, tax became proper. It's always so slow, and it's usually 9 times out of 10 as well to do with things like cross-border payments, tax implications, the exchange rates. All of these things literally could disappear very soon with the ability of central bank digital currencies, CBDCs. So like I said, Stellar is in the background very much pushing this narrative constantly, and the technology behind it. And I look at this as well. USDC on ramp in the US for retail and institutional customers. So Ocoin, fastest growing cryptocurrency platforms, or one of, working alongside Stellar to basically power the USDC coin. Now, this is fantastic. I personally, whenever I am, I do trade with USDT, but whenever I'm holding money, and particularly through like my ledger, for example, I will always try and use USDC. And particularly very much so because I always believed that Stellar would really be a massive powerhouse behind this. And Stellar network being so cheap and efficient, if I want to transact or transfer or put back onto the exchange or whatever it is, it's cheap as chips. Obviously I don't want to be using silly things like Ethereum and this, that and the other. Stellar is for sure one that I would want to be using as a network, as an interoperable technology perspective behind this token. So I'm really interested to see what further developments come out of this. So Ocoin is an exchange serving over 190 customers, 190 countries, sorry. So if you think about that concept of this article here, picking out, I think it was 100 odd, 87 countries. Now, this exchange itself is already operating in more than that. And what's going to happen eventually, the banks and governments are going to have to cave in more and more of improving and integrating this new system. And these exchanges are going to have the upper hand versus the banks, in my opinion. Yes, banks will have a protective aspect in the sense that some are government backed for sure, some are public backed, but I think they're so archaic, 90% of them are so archaic. They're going to lose out to exchanges. Exchanges are rapidly increasing their solution experience offering. Now I'm talking about things like they can do taxes for you, they can do loans, they can do you can do trading. It's all in your power. Decentralization is very important, but of course CBDCs do still have the centralized aspect to it, because I'm sure the banks will use that. But my point being is that these exchanges are going to deliver so many options for us. We may not even need banks anymore. I personally, bar mortgage, do not use my bank anymore. It's all through crypto. Has been since I've been working in the crypto sphere, and I love it. I think obviously taxes are taken care of with some apps and this, that and the other, so I don't need to worry about that. But I'm in the power, I'm in the control to be like, actually I'm going to decide what I can and cannot spend my money on. I'm going to decide which currency I want to use. This is where we're going. If you're clever enough to know what to do and have the correct and regulative and legislative operating system to do it, it's perfect. So guys, something to consider for sure, but look at the more detail in CBDCs and Stellar as time goes by. I think this year is just going to be absolutely gigantic for this topic. I still have my mindset around November time for a lot of these. In particular, the UK, we've got some very interesting things happening with some of the cash disappearing. People like post offices. I think the post office is trying to get everyone to bring their cash in, the deposit. You can imagine all these people with cash under the mattress and this, that and the other, because they won't be able to use it. And our tax system's changing in 2 years time, all digital, no cash anymore. People are going to be like, oh crap, what am I supposed to do? And then they have to realize that, all that money I've stashed in the freezer or under the bed is now going to have to be going back in the system. They're clawing it back, guys. Just no one can see it. They will claw it back. They will switch cash off, and you will all be digitalized. So make your choice in the next year or so, because we're running out of time, whether you want to go down the centralized route or the decentralized route. That's where I'm leaving that topic right now. Let's go into the chart and let's smash through it. Guys, do please hit that like button and that subscribe button if you like what you hear and see. But let's go into this. I've drawn a nice little red box. We know what that means. That's my buying opportunity. Can't see it right now. It's very small. But I just wanted to give an overview of XLM right now as a token, where we have been. So May last year, we had those dizzy heights of nearly 80 cents. We dragged ourselves back down towards these levels eventually over quite a long time, to be honest, floating around 16 to 15 cents. That in itself, actually, to be fair, dragged it down quite a significant amount. I'm just going to draw in my price range chart here. Just have a look at that. Yeah, very much quite tallied down. It's about 80%, but it wasn't like all the other charts though, guys. It was really weird. XLM is just being a slow burner. It's just crazy considering the mechanism behind it, who's powering it, who's behind it. Yeah, I think this is very early still for this one before it all completely takes off. I try and accumulate as much as I can basically every month. But at the moment on a macro level, guys, we're coming back down to this orange line here. This is a particular area of interest to me. Why have I drawn this area in? Because we are reflecting on a couple of points in historic data, particularly around here, November 2020. We're looking at these areas here in January last year, and also reflective areas that we saw resistance or indeed pullbacks to back here in June and July respectively. Now, I know that's going back a bit far, but my point being about this is because of all the massive price discovery, the big drawback, we tried to pull ourselves back up and couldn't do it. We dragged ourselves back down to this area. But what's really cool is that we pulled ourselves down to these lower regions on the macro fib retracement. And we pulled ourselves back up relatively quickly. I mean, this drop was quite natural until this point where Bitcoin leveraging failed and everything like this on the 21st of January, I think it was. We pulled ourselves nicely back up to these areas. So we dropped down, testing these lower regions we hadn't seen since 2020, basically. It's absolutely crazy. And it came up really nicely. So it's almost done that U-turn to show that actually we're not going into full bear market or winter market here. We're going to pull this back up and take ourselves where we need to be for XLM to get some maturity and push itself up once more to new heights, hopefully very soon. So that's why I'm interested in this particular area of buying. You know for a fact we were buying down here. We did videos on that. Very interesting points to purchase, in my opinion. I stupidly missed these lower ones, like 14, I think. It was like 15, 16 cents. But I have been bagging them around 18 to 20 cents. I've been bagging them just around here at 20 as well. I don't tend to buy on the way up because I always think, okay, we might come back down. This is why I put the buy area in here, which is just shy of 23 cents. So I'm putting one in at 22.42. So that's 22.42 cents. And I'm putting one very much slap bang above 20 cents as well, 2085. Those are my two buy points on Qcoin right now. And it's playing out so far. I thought we were going to touch it down today, but we didn't. We might see that over the next couple of days. Don't get me wrong, guys. I want to see projects fly, but equally, I'm not. I've learned a lot in the last couple of years to really identify data points in the history to determine whether we're actually ready to confirm support levels and obtain resistance when needed. So the reason I drew in the orange as well is this dip down here, completely rejected in one day, pulled itself back up. We have the natural occurrence down. We're now floating literally around that area. That's why I put that orange line there. That's where my top end buy point is going to be if this comes down further. If it switches, that's great because it means we've got a new support line here at around 23, just over 23 cents. But this gap, in my opinion, is too much. Forget the previous data for now, but macro level, this is too much of a drop down and the swing up to not identify somewhere within this gap some support levels that we need to identify and maintain. That's why I'm interested in those areas. But if we do break this macro level fib retracement, the next level down, in my opinion, is the long-term fib retracement bottom level here at just over 20 cents. That's why I've got the bottom area there. So hopefully that makes sense to everyone. On the RSIs, and the MACDs, this is another reason why I'm putting those areas in particular. We've had these low regions of RSIs on all of the factors here, 14 and 28 days. Back here showing beautiful areas to purchase. We've flown up. I personally haven't taken any trades on that. I hold my XLM firmly in my ledger as I accumulate it. I'm holding it for the next few years before I make any big decisions on that, unless we go over $1 or something. But look at this. This is quite a significant steep uprise. And look at this MACD where you got the blue and orange lines here. I'm just going to pull that up so you can see it. We had the switch over on the 1st of February, and that's very steep. And not only that, we didn't have a gradual sort of narrowing gap before a switch over. Just shot through. That's why I'm not concerned. I wouldn't say concerned. I think concerned is a bit strong word, but I'm cautious. I'm cautious of the fact that it's done this upswing. It's probably overpurchased very quickly. It's mirrored essentially this sell-off period and almost matched it. So we probably have a few more days in the green in terms of good volume coming in on purchasing, but the volumes will decrease in my opinion, and we might get something like this. We might get something like this, and then a bit more of a sell-off, perhaps a bit bigger than this one, which will, well, basically the gradual reduction of volume should bring us down to those areas that we put in. I'm not anticipating it to break too much further down from that. I think our days of being around this sort of 20 cents, 18 cents are hopefully coming to an end for XLM. We can start pushing forward, but that's why I'm very curious about this. If this gap narrows and we get a good narrowing gap between the MACD lines here over the next week or so, I think we can push ourselves up to that 25, confirm that 25 area and start pushing for 30, 32. But I don't see that happening probably till the end of February into March. We'll have to see. Who knows what happens in March? Of course, we've got the US interest rates and things like this. Isn't it funny how the narratives work, guys? A few weeks ago, everyone was doom and gloom. Countries are banning this, banning that. Then all of a sudden, Russia is accepting Bitcoin. The banks are accepting Bitcoin. Russia is doing cryptocurrency all of a sudden. All of the other countries are doing cryptocurrency. And then it's all fancy, hunky-dory, excellent, brilliant. But aren't we approaching this March area that we saw in 2020 when everything was going funny and nice, and then all of a sudden, bang, crashed. And everyone was buying Bitcoin at $3,000. I remember it very well because I was like, should I get one or not? And I didn't. Well, the rest is history. So that's where we're playing it out, guys, with XLM over these next few days. Like I said, I do anticipate it to come back down to this area, but I wouldn't mind seeing it bounce off and shoot straight back up, to be honest. But I'm being realistic. Let us know what you think in the comments below about that. We will catch up on XLM, hopefully, on Monday or Tuesday next week, see how that played out. But yeah, let us know what you're doing with XLM. Have you been accumulating in these nice lower areas? Or indeed, what are you doing right now? What do you think is going to happen in the next few days, weeks, even months? What do you think the price will be for XLM in 2022? What do you think the highest point will be? But until then, guys, thanks for watching. We will indeed see you in the next one. Take care and bye-bye.